You once showed in a lecture a picture of snakes spiraling around each other, snakes' tails.
Yes.
And you said something like, I think it's positively, that is the representation of DNA.
Yes, let's leave that one, but I promise I will return to that.
Well, let's run out of time, because that seems to me to go to the heart of what may be a difference between us, this aesthetic. I mean, that idea that in some sense represents DNA seems to me to be complete nonsense.
Okay, I will absolutely address that.
Okay.
God. Well, this is something I did want to talk to you about.
Okay,
it does take us rather far down the rabbit hole, though, I would say.
Okay.
This is part of the reason I got interested in mystical experience. I studied one symbol, which was the Scandinavian world tree symbol. And so the Scandinavians thought that there was a tree at the center of the cosmos. They called that Yggdrasil. And on the outside of the tree, there's a snake that eats its own tail. The Amazonian jungle dwellers who discovered ayahuasca have the same image. It's exactly the same. It's a tree at the center of the cosmos with a snake that eats its own tail. Now, ayahuasca is a very bizarre chemical, and no one has any idea how the natives synthesized it. The ancient Scandinavians either used Amanita muscaria, those red mushrooms with the white dots that you see in fairy tales all the time, same color as Santa Claus and his flying reindeer. And reindeer like Amanita muscaria mushrooms, by the way. But I think the Scandinavians also used psilocybin. Now the question is, what the hell's that tree? If you take it seriously, then you should take it seriously. I mean, these images were used for a very, very long time, and people thought about them very hard. It's clear that our consciousness can move up and down levels of analysis to some degree. You can move your level of apprehension up and down from the micro level to the more macro level. Well, psychedelics seem to expand that capacity so that consciousness can move up and down layers of apprehension that aren't available to consciousness under its normal conditions. Well, like I said, this is in the realm of wild speculation. But I know what Crick thought about the origin of DNA. Well, he thought it was too complex to have evolved.
I see what you mean. You mean the idea of it coming from elsewhere.
No, I mean, I know that's an infinite regress problem.
That's what was...
Okay, so that was, all that was behind that, bit of speculation, which I normally wouldn't have ever done.
These coiling serpents, I
think that under some conditions, vision can expand to the point where they can see down into the micro level. They can apprehend the micro level consciously.
You think that our consciousness can extend down to the micro level, to the level of...
I do.
The micro level of DNA. Okay.
Well, since we're on this topic, I have taken extremely high doses of psilocybin. Like 4 doses is enough basically to knock you out of your body. I wouldn't recommend it casually. I took 7 grams 3 times. And I had this shamanic experience. It was unbelievable, and I don't even know how, I have no idea how to make sense out of it.
Well, I believe that. I could quite understand you have a most extraordinary experience. I've never taken such a drug, but I could imagine you had a most remarkable experience. But you just said that you think that your consciousness can see into your cells and see the structure of DNA. That has got to be utter nonsense. I'm sorry.
Well, like I said, I'm perfectly reasonable, willing to admit forthrightly that is a highly speculative idea.
Well, it is speculative, but it's also got to be false.
Why? Why? No.
Yeah.
And look, in all probability, you're right. Right? I mean, we're both wise enough to use Occam's razor. Right? But there was more to it than that, because in this visionary experience, I could feel my consciousness go down these levels of analysis. And I could see things that they appeared to be in my field of imagination. And I looked at them and I thought, that looks a lot like DNA.
But you're an educated man who already knows about DNA.
Yes. These people didn't know it was DNA.
Didn't know about it. That's what's so...
Oh, no, they didn't know.
It doesn't surprise me in the least that you could have a visionary experience and think you see your DNA in your own cells. That, of course, is highly plausible. What is not plausible,
because I already know about it.
Yes. What is not plausible is that somebody who does not know about it, an ancient Chinese sculptor, whatever it was,
yes,
who working long before Watson and Crick discovered the structure of DNA,
could possibly apprehend
that just isn't
fair
wrong.
enough.
And
I guess I would only say in defense of that idea is that it is the case that consciousness can travel up and down levels of analysis in a real sense. And
yes.
It isn't absolutely inconceivable that that's not an expandable capacity under some circumstances.